Howdy, howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast number 366. What I miss? Hey, it is great to have you guys again out there. It was a really good week. Heard from a number of you folks. I really do appreciate the conversations. They always get me thinking. Uh, I'm told I help you folks, and that's the goal. But that two-way, it means a lot to me. So thank you so much. I also appreciate the number of love notes I got from last week's podcast. I'll be honest with you. Uh, I put out these podcasts, and these podcasts, of course, are just the thoughts that come to my mind. And right off the bat, that's a scary prospect. The things that come to my mind, and to hear what you guys think and your feedback and thoughts sometimes really just opens my eyes. Sometimes it just like certifies that my craziness is not just in my head, which I sometimes wonder. But I'm grateful for you guys spending some time with me. So thank you so much. This week's podcast is again being recorded with the Adobe Beta. Uh, the AI for the voice it works great, but boy, trying to get that transcript up and going, sometimes I wonder if it ever will. But it's there. You'll find the transcript on the podcast blog post page, and I know a number of you it helps, so it's still there. Hey, couple of things. First of all, uh, I am not electronics technical wizard. I get a lot of information shared with me, and some of it sticks and some of it goes flying through my head at faster than light speed. Case in point. So, I've talked about using SSD drives, solid state drives, same basic technology that we have in our express cards in our camera. So, we have little chips rather than spinning drives in a nutshell, storing our information. And I started going to these a couple of years back for a number of reasons. One, I can carry an 8 terabyte SSD drive, and they're about the size of what, two business cards, and the thickness of what? Oh, not even a quarter of an inch. They weigh nothing, they hold a ton of information. But just because, I've got them doesn't mean everything's perfect. Case in point, I have a number of Samsung 870 QVO SSD drives. Now, some of these are 2 terabytes, and some are 8 terabytes. And the 8 terabytes are the ones that store all my gallery images. So I have all my finished files with me when I'm on the road to take care of clients. The 2 terabyte are what I have for basically a 10-day shoot, and I back up everything off the computer for brand new shoots, mostly NEFs. So, what's the point? Well, and again, this is all over my pay grade. But early this year, I had the first one of these QVOs go down on me in the process of making a backup. I lost a couple files, nothing major because it was backing up at the time, but the drive just gone, dead. There's no indication, no warning signs, no you have 5 seconds to prepare for shutdown, nothing like that. It just crashed. That was a terabyte. Then I had an 8 terabyte, do the exact same thing. And they're not inexpensive. That's $1,000 right there, just gone. Well, talking with my dear friend Roger, who has saved my butt many a times, as well as keeping my memory clear. And we were talking about this because I was trying to understand better the scenario, so it didn't happen again, mostly. And he is a computer whiz. So he said, "Hey, send them down to me." So I sent him down the 2 terabyte, 8 terabyte, and he was able to break them open because I couldn't even get them to mount on my Mac, but found that they were basically toast. And Roger, being Roger, started doing homework, and there is, and I would never thought of this. So I'm not, I'm sometimes really stupid. There's a 3-year warranty on these puppies. So he reached out to Samsung, and in my hands right now are brand new 2 terabyte and 8 terabyte. So I'm not out the drives and more importantly, that money. But upon further research, because no, Roger could not stop there because that's Roger's nature. He found out that the 2021 version of the QVO drives, and yeah, and this is all Greek to me, had a firmware issue. So if you just update their firmware, then you don't have the crash problem that I had. I'm just telling you this because, folks ask me often, how do you keep up with everything? And I work hard, but this is a biggie that I totally missed. That my good friend Roger saved my tuchus, and he found. So kind of goes along with, in a way, this week. So what I miss, but more important to the point is talking to people who are more knowledgeable about other aspects of photography, which includes electronics and digital storage, can bring great benefits. So thanks, Roger, for saving my tuchus again, and hopefully passing on that trivia to you uh, might help you with yours. Hey, I want to thank my good friends at Bedford Camera, bedfords.com. Yeah, I placed another big order with them this week. They make it so easy to part with money. Way too easy. I actually felt good about it. And then, of course, the next day it's like, wow, that was a chunk of change. And that's okay because that's what they do. They take great care of us photographers. They'll take great care of you. You'll save money. You'll get the gear. You got great service. You're gonna feel all warm and comfy and get done. And if you want to get that in person, PhotoCon is what? Wow, it's less than a month away at this point. So PhotoCon is coming up. You can do it in person, and you're still going to save that Moose discount when you check out and pay for your goods. So Bedfords.com, whether you click, call, go in person, these are the folks that help us out there shooting. So remind them and say thanks for sponsoring the Moose podcast. And thank you, Bedfords, for sponsoring the Moose podcast. Well, this week's episode, what I miss? I kind of need to set the stage a little bit so you can understand. So, sorry if you think I'm going a long ways to get to the point, but it's important. I think you understand. So I had there's an invitational fly-in that I've been invited to for the last 3 years since its start. And life being life, I couldn't make it until this year. And this year, I got there. All the credit goes to Sharon. She's the one that manipulated my schedule so I could squeeze in that trip between trips. And it was truly a squeeze in. I actually had to pack for it prior to going up to Kodiak because I know sooner than got home than I was off again. And it was, I had to pack because I was in a tent. I wasn't in a hotel. I was, kind of, believe it or not, in the middle of nowhere, California. There are those places and working out of a tent. And this fly-in is a little unique. It is a fly-in where or just this most beautiful gentleman has the most extreme, amazing antique aircraft. Uh, it's not a collection; it's a cadre. It's a all the planes fly, and the point of fly-in is to get all these very talented special pilots there to fly them. The sky was full at one time with 10 aircraft, and these are Wacos from the 1920s and 30s. There's a plane from 1918, another plane from 1919. I mean, there's a Vega that Doolittle owned and flew. I mean, it's just, and the thing is, they're all point blank, as in literally. Um, uh, it is a private fly-in, private property, and so close that, well, a 400 millimeter lens, all I got was kind of a pilot and a windshield. That close. So that's kind of the stage. Now, like I mentioned, I was working out of the tent, had to use battery power, and I shot in the, it was basically a 48-hour event. I had shot approximately 15,000 nefs. And when I got done, I had filed about 10,500. But here's the thing, the lens I used most of the time was either the 50 1.2, yes, 50 millimeter 1.2, or the 7200 2.8. Now, there was a couple statics that I shot with the 24 to 72.8, but basically those two lenses, the 50 and the 7200, were the prime lenses. Now, when you're shooting something that's moving, you have to use panning. Quick backlog on panning. That means that your feet are planted, you're twisting at the hips, and you're twisting at a speed so the subject, in this case aircraft, were continually in the exact same spot in the viewfinder. So as you're panning, you are blurring the background, but the plane itself is tack sharp. Shooting with the Z8 autofocus mode was auto area AF aircraft, though that's not really relevant because at the point blank distance I was at, um, uh, camera couldn't help but see anything, and it did a phenomenal job on the focus. But here is the whole thing with panning. So if you're in one spot and the subject is at a distance, the further that distance from you, the slower you have to twist at the trunk to keep that subject in the same spot in the viewfinder to get the sharp image. The closer that subject gets to you physically, the faster you have to twist at the trunk. Now, that faster speed you're twisting, of course, is going to blur the background even more. But add to this last bit of the math of this thing is that subject is going really fast, like an airplane, and it's physically really close to you. You're panning at an incredible speed. I mean, you are twisting so quickly that, well, your technique has to be spot on if you're going to hope to get, 100% keeper rate. And that's really not realistic. 100% just is not going to happen when you are that close. Now, how close was I? That is a great question. So, with the 50 millimeter lens, when they went by and they were right abreast of me, so they literally coming down the runway, going past me, going up the runway as they did their flybys. When they're directly abreast to me, so they're at their closest point, with the 50 millimeter lens, I could get the prop, the cockpit, and about a foot or 2 feet behind that cockpit. That's all that was in the viewfinder with the 50 millimeter. I was that close. So when it comes to panning, they are screaming by. Now, here's my thought process. I know that this is a really low yield shot. In other words, I'm going to shoot a ton of images, and the odds of my getting that one shot are really slim. So I ask myself in this process, what I miss? There were some other photographers there. Um, I met the very young and gifted Connor Madison, for example, photographer you should check out. Really nice guy, nice kid, and a really good shooter. And I could say, he was competition, but I don't see him that way, which is why he was invited in the plane when we did air to airs. And they were at a further distance physically from the aircraft than I was, using a longer focal length. But by doing that, they're actually twisting at the trunk. Their panning was at a slower rate. So their percentage of keepers is going to be greater simply because of the math of how fast they have to pan. And I saw that, and then instantly my mind is like, okay, I'm feeling guilty. I'm at this great event with these incredible rare aircraft I'm not going to see anywhere else flying in this. And oh gosh, the lighting in the skies were dramatic and gorgeous, and oh, they were just to die for. And here I am, quote unquote, experimenting, or you could say, shooting my wad, and in a prayer, in a Hail Mary kind of pass. And so it kept going in my mind. What am I missing? What is the photograph I'm actually missing by not going with the conventional, by getting back further, going with a longer lens, get the image size I want, and going with a slower pan? And I have to tell you, that whole day on Friday, it was in the back of my mind. I looked at a couple of times the back, to see, look at the images. I'm not a big chimper. It is what it is, and that's old school from film. But I just kept shooting. And then that night, the wind came up and the rain came up. The wind was gusting probably 30 some of the times, and our little tents, I'm not in a little tent, but my backcountry tent, it was bowing in the wind, so I had to be on one side of the tent because the other side was kind of flattened. And there's my MacBook Pro glowing and plugged into the battery, and cranking up and ingesting, and I'm looking at the images, and I'm looking at some of the ones I missed because seriously, I would set up for the pan, trying to get that shot just prior to there being abreast of me, and I'm looking at the speed, and I know the speed because one moment the image, the aircraft is a little mega dot, and within a couple of frames, shooting 20 frames a second, and within a couple of frames, that little megabyte is almost filling the frame, and then at the end of the 20 frames, it is just all it is playing. So I know it's just screaming by. And I'm looking, and I'm like, out of focus, delete, delete, out of focus, delete, delete, out of focus, delete, delete. And then all of a sudden there's one. I'm like, oh boy, I got that one. And then delete, 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 delete. Oh, there's another one. There are many times when we're out there shooting and we play it safe. We don't step outside that wheelhouse. And we come back with those images, and we are at the moment satisfied. But what about 10 days later, or 20 days later, or a month later, or when we see someone else's photograph that the circumstances look very similar to the ones that we had, and they show that one image, and you go, wow, I could have done that. And I didn't. I chose to play it safe. What did I miss? It's something we all have to juggle. We have to think about. We have to, um, um, in our own minds, say we're okay with the fact that I'm playing it safe and I'm getting all these shots, or I have to say it's okay. I know I'm missing all those shots looking for that one. And in that process, and either process, you're going to miss images. One is going to be greater, but the rewards when you stick your neck out, right? A lot of times that reward for that one is like, yeah, that was the right move. And that's what I want to encourage you about. I see photographers play it safe way too often, and they will then look at my image, even though they were shooting right next to me, and they'll look at my images and they go, I didn't get that. I mean, and it's just because after doing this for so many clicks, I just have, you could say, the gumption to go for it. Where that fear of failure stops many from going for it. So is that really what this is about? Is getting past that fear? Maybe. Is it about risking it all for that one reward? Maybe. Is it just to listen to ourselves when we say, what if? Move past the what I miss scenario? It could be. It could be all those above, and just one. I just want to encourage you into at least thinking about it and then exploring it. It's it kind of goes back to that Ansel Adams quote, which has been misquoted, but in synopsis, how many photographs does it take to get a great one? One. You folks have a tremendous week. Thanks so much for spending some time with me. And remember to make every click your story.